First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has stated that reserving special seats for women in the legislature is not an act of charity, but a vital step towards strengthening Nigeria's democracy. Speaking at the 2025 Open National Assembly Week through Representative Kafilat Ogbara, she commended the House of Representatives for supporting the special seats bill. Tinubu emphasized that women remain underrepresented in governance despite constituting nearly half the population and called for legislative action to correct the imbalance. She urged lawmakers to show commitment to passing the bill and advancing inclusive governance. Highlighting the importance of diverse leadership, she praised women's groups, civil society, and male allies advocating for equal political representation. She called for bold reforms, saying real change begins with enshrining fair representation in Nigeria's constitution. Dr. Fineface, I know this story would have been maybe balanced if a woman was talking about was with us, yeah. But let me get your thought.
Yeah, I think it's a welcome development that this bill is being championed, and the wife of the president, who is the first lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is also supporting the bill. Because we've seen a system whereby even when we have the 13% affirmative action in place, whereby we try to ensure that in whatever we do, we have 13% or 35% of women. That's the 35% affirmative action. We still have this very stiff competition from the men, not giving the women the opportunity to participate in processes. And we in the NGO, like in our organization, to the Youth and Environmental Advocacy Center, we also try to mainstream women and gender in what we do. So this bill is going to mainstream gender in legislative business in the country by way of ensuring that those seats that it will reserve, women will compete among themselves, and at the end of the day, women will fill those number of seats. Okay. But a situation whereby you don't have this bill in place and you throw the contest open between men and women, there is this male chauvinism that makes the male to intimidate the female, and before you know, they are not given opportunity to be properly represented. But when you have these positions reserved for them, then they just compete among themselves, and at the end of the day, you have women sitting on those seats. So I think it's a welcome development, and I support this bill, totally, because when it is passed into an act of parliament, to enable women to aspire, enable women to occupy those seats, and enable women to be able to look at some of these issues, and at the end of the day, you see that women are going to be able to occupy those positions and contribute to national development from their perspective. Apart from just women, they have also gone into the fact that they have to ensure that we also have persons with disabilities, on some of those seats. So it's very, very key. So women that are living with disabilities or are physically challenged but who can be in parliament to make contributions will be key. Because if we have people from these different sectors representing their male counterparts and being part of their male counterpart, then whatever bill that is passed at the National Assembly, laws that are made, you will see that the inputs on greater sector of the society are in that bill, and it becomes more comprehensive and more acceptable. So it's a welcome development, and I think it should be given as a related hearing and then passage, so that we can have this before the 2027 general election, and then have our women, persons with disabilities, physically challenged, represented on the floor of Nigerian parliament. It will go a long way to strengthen Nigerians' inclusivity and inclusiveness of its people in its legislative businesses.
Okay, let me step away from the National Assembly down to when I was in my undergraduate for my first degree, we had an election where we wanted to elect the cost rep, general cost rep, and then I was nominated. Two other guys were nominated, and a lady. And then I read English language and literary studies, and then you know that most times women tend to flock to these courses. So we had a majority of women in class then, and then they voted a lady as the president. Now I heard most of my colleagues saying over the dead body will a woman rule them. Oh. And then they did that. She won, so I became the assistant. But do you know, most guys will not go to meet her when they want to. They will come to me, and then I started asking, what is that mentality that keeps most male?
I think the mentality is that a lot of men see women as weak. They see them as weaker souls, and they see them as those that they cannot superintend over them, and they see them as people that they can manipulate as they like. But I'm surprised. I've been wondering why a man that was given birth to by a woman would say that a woman cannot superintend over me or cannot lead me. I think it's an aberration for that to happen, because we've seen women making waves, making greater contributions to national and international development across the world. women are even president in a lot of countries, and you believe that a woman cannot lead you in a class. It's not fair, and I think people like that needs to be reorientated. And if you watch them over time, I believe they will change. Right. Because there is no how you will see that a woman has emerged as a leader. You say you are not going to give that woman support because you can't see a woman leading you. It's not possible. Give that woman all the necessary support that she needs, and I believe she will be able to do well. So
you are the director of a youth environment advocacy. Yeah. So what are the contributions to that?
We mainstream gender in our organization because it's what we preach and what we advocate for, and we are also currently trying to work with an organization, international organization called Rise Up. We are all working on ensuring gender equality. We try to make it gender equality. In fact, let me start by saying that the chairman of the board of trustees of Youth and Environmental Advocacy Center is a woman.
Interesting.
And the other board member, we also have one other woman as the board member, 2 other women as the board member. So out of 7 board members, 3 are women there. Then in the office, we are currently about 7. Okay. Then in the admin section, you have 2 women, the accountant and the admin officer. It's a woman.
Interesting.
And in the program area, you have 3 people. Myself, one other staff, Dr. Frank, and then you have Helen Ayes. Okay. She is not only a woman, but a physically challenged. Oh. So we try to ensure that we include them. Because part of our approaches and our values to some of the things we do is to ensure inclusivity and to carry everybody along and try to leave no one behind. So we mainstream gender in everything we do. Even when we go for programs, we try to ensure that we carry women along, persons with disability, physically challenged women. Everybody is carried along, because what will you explain to the founder or the partner that you don't involve these people? You have to involve them. The only group of people we've not been able to involve fully, because the laws of Nigeria prohibit us from involving them, the LGBT, all these mixed sex. We don't give that prominent attention because the laws of Nigeria prohibit us from doing that. Okay. Otherwise, there was a time that after we finished training with Equitas Canada, we tried to bring in that, but they said no, that we can't run it in Nigeria because it's against our rules. Otherwise, we try to mainstream gender and involve everybody and leave no one behind. It's very important we do that.
Okay, that's beautiful. Let's on leadership positions, you talked about inclusivity. Should the National Assembly be by inclusivity or by competence? Because we're not just looking at the sex, but who is competent to fill.
Women are competent. There are competent women in Nigeria. There are competent women in Nigeria. And those competent women can hold any position. In fact, we've had a woman as the Speaker of the House of Reps.
Yeah, we have.
The next thing I want to see is a woman as the Speaker of, the Senate President. We should have that in Nigeria. Women are competent. In many countries, women are running their countries. Just like in our own small organization as we are. In Nigeria, I'm a man here. I'm the head of the organization in Nigeria. In the UK, we have a woman. In the US, we have a man. So out of 3 countries that we operate, we have 1 woman. That is what we should be doing. So women should be given opportunity. Women are competent. They can do as much as the men are doing. Look, we have the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations today. It's a woman, deputy. And then we have the World Trade Organization also. We have Konje Iweala. She did well. She's qualified to even be president of Nigeria, if given the necessary support. We have strong women. Just that we have the wife of the president that was talking about supporting this bid. And she's competent enough, a former senator. She's even qualified to be the president of Nigeria or the Senate president of Nigeria. So women have whatever competence that a man has, and they can be able to lead in any position we put them with the support of all of us. Remember, a man cannot also do excellently well without the support of women. Okay. So that support from left and right is very important for both men and women to perform well in their position. So I support women to occupy any position, and they will get the support of people like us that are trying to ensure that women can do better as much as the men can do.
Okay, one more question on this story. We learned that was last year when the Lagos State House of Assembly had an issue, and the Miranda was brought in. But you found out that within 2-3 weeks she stepped down. Now the question was she stepping down for peace to ensue, or she was stepping down because the environment was choking? Now let's also relate that to the bigger picture.
Exactly, she stepped down not because she wasn't having the capacity or it was choked, but she stepped down because of the leadership crisis that was in the house, and she was pressurized to step down. And her being forced to step down made it difficult for people to really see the capacity she could bring on board. So I think what we have is a system whereby that very Miranda coming on board, and then within a few weeks she stepped out. She was forced to step out because of the issues that we have in that house. So to a very large extent, I believe that if she was given the necessary support, she would have been there and she would have delivered, and they would have seen the competence she has. That is why we are saying that in the picture of what we currently have, when you begin to have a good percentage of women on the floor of the National Assembly, then you begin to see women emerge into key positions in the National Assembly. House Committee Chairman, you are going to have women heading them. When you also see majority leaders in the House or minority leaders, you are going to have women. So just from there, you begin to have women participate and mainstream in everything that we are doing. So this equality is very key for us to be able to drive this process and then achieve what we should achieve as a nation. We must not continue to dominate the women, believing they can't do anything. They have the competence, and we are going to give them the support to get there.
So, Dr. Fineface, on the trajectory to inclusivity, do you think Nigeria is making progress?
Yeah, we are making progress, and I think the more progress will be made when this particular law, Act of Parliament, comes into place. It is good. Remember, in Rivers State, between 2015 and 2023, the ex-governor of the state, the FCT minister, mainstreamed gender properly in his administration. I think it was the very first time we had a deputy governor as a woman. Yeah. And all the vice chairmen of all the 23 local government areas were women. And among the councillors, majority of them were also women. The first time we had that, and we give it to him. And we expected subsequent administration to do that, and other states in the federation to also do the same thing, so that we carry women along in what we do. Because when we keep them at home and then keep them in the kitchen or keep them at home to keep our homes, we are not really bringing out that potential that they have. So I think we need to be able to ensure that we make better progress. And I think this particular bill, when passed into an act of parliament, is going to really set that pace that we have been waiting for, because we are not going to let it be only at the center, but also at the state level, because the bill also proposing that in the state assembly, special seats are reserved for women and persons with disabilities. So it's a commendable bill, and one of the best things that we are going to get out of this administration, I must say.
All right, quoting Oluremi, she said, not as favor, but...
Exactly, not a way of favoring them, but it's a necessity and what we need to do. This bill is a way of breaking the jinx and making sure that men do not continue to impose themselves on them and not give them opportunity to emerge. So this one, with what we now have, about 85 of them or thereabout, those seats will be reserved, and women will compete among themselves and they find themselves on those seats. So it's very, very key. So it's to break that jinx of men always not giving them opportunity to break through during elections.